Welcome to Veil of Shadows, Book 1, The Amulet of Shadows, by Marie Mayer. Chapter 6, What Was Planted. The gray did not vanish all at once. It retreated like tide water, slowly, reluctantly, leaving the grass damp and fragile in its wake. By dusk, the field behind the manor bore only a faint pallor where the blight had pressed hardest, as though the earth had been bruised and was deciding whether to heal. Elara stood at the edge of the clearing until the last of the sprites had vanished into the trees. The stump remained split along the carved mark. The fissure ran cleanly through the broken circle, dividing the crown-shaped etching into uneven halves. Inert, but not erased. Rhys crouched beside it, careful not to touch the wood. "You didn't burn it," he observed quietly. "No. You didn't erase it either." She shook her head. "I didn't destroy anything. I just..." She searched for the right word. "Unwound it." He glanced up at her. "That's harder." She did not feel proud. She felt watched. The air beyond the clearing had settled into something deceptively calm. The trees stood still, branches unmoving, but the silence did not feel empty. It felt observant. "Let's not stay," she said softly. They walked back toward the manor without speaking. The forest did not stir against them this time. The bramble lay quiet. The path did not resist their steps. But when they reached the field, Elara paused. The line where gray had halted now bore faint streaks in the soil, thin grooves etched into the earth in a pattern too deliberate to be accidental. She knelt. "They weren't here before," she murmured. Rhys joined her. The grooves formed half of a circle, broken at the top, but smaller than the one carved into the stump. "Another mark?" he asked. "No," she said slowly. "A boundary." The amulet at her chest remained cool. The grooves did not pulse. They did not draw. They marked. "As if something tested the line," Rhys said. Elara nodded. "Tested and found resistance." She straightened. "It won't stop," she said quietly. "It won't give up because one mark failed." Rhys did not contradict her. Inside the manor, the air felt lighter than it had that morning. The tension that had pressed against the walls had eased, but the study did not feel entirely at rest. The grimoire lay open on the desk where she had left it before they returned to the woods. The crown symbol still marked the page. Elara went to it. Rhys remained near the door, watchful but unobtrusive. She turned the page slowly. The ink did not bloom immediately. She laid her fingers lightly along the margin. "We broke one anchor," she said softly. "What was it planted for?" The page warmed beneath her touch. Then the ink began to rise. Not in her mother's steady script this time, in a sharper, older hand. "The throne does not appear without preparation." Her pulse ticked upward. Another line formed. "Where roots are oldest, gathering takes hold fastest." Her gaze snapped to the hearth instinctively, though she felt no pulse there now. "The grove," she whispered. Rhys stepped closer. "What?" She turned the book toward him. He read silently, jaw tightening. "Your manor borders the oldest stretch of forest," he said. "If someone wanted to anchor something, they would start where the roots are deepest." She closed the book gently. The carved stump had not been random. It had been placed at the threshold between her land and the ancient woods. A test. The first attempt to drive a stake. And she had snapped it before it could take. "Who would try this?" Rhys asked quietly. She wished she knew. The amulet rested steady and warm, offering no answer. The grimoire's pages remained still. She thought of the sprites, how their eyes had hollowed when the mark pulsed, how quickly they had recovered once the gathering fractured. They had not chosen hostility. They had been influenced. Something had pressed inward on the edges of the forest and bent the smallest lives first. Elara's throat tightened. "If it's planting anchors," she said slowly, "there will be more." "Where?" Rhys asked. She did not answer immediately. Instead, she closed her eyes and reached, not with force, not with shadow, with balance. The amulet's quiet current moved through her awareness like a steady stream. She let it expand gently, touching the boundary of her land, the first line of trees, the soil beneath the field. Nothing surged in response. Nothing pulled. Then, faintly, further east, a whisper of pressure, not fully formed, not yet rooted, but present. Her eyes opened sharply. "There," she said, turning toward the far wall as though she could see through stone. Rhys followed her gaze. "Another?" "Not active," she said. "Not yet. It feels shallow." Testing again. Her heart began to race, not with panic, but with clarity. The first had been carved boldly, almost arrogantly. This one was subtler. Learning. "It's adjusting," she murmured. Rhys's expression darkened. "Then so are we." They did not wait for full dark. The eastern boundary lay beyond a narrow rise of land where the grove thickened into older growth. The roots there were gnarled and ancient, threading through stone older than the manor itself. As they approached, the forest changed. The air cooled slightly. The scent of damp earth deepened. The amulet grew warmer. Elara slowed. "It's close," she said. Rhys kept pace beside her, quiet and steady. They moved off the path, stepping carefully between exposed roots and low branches. The light filtered thinly through the canopy, painting the ground in fractured shadow. Elara stopped abruptly. At the base of a massive oak, half hidden beneath moss and fallen leaves, the soil had been disturbed. No carved stump this time. No bold symbol burned into wood. Just a shallow depression in the earth, and at its center, a small stone, flat, smooth, etched faintly with a broken circle. Incomplete, not yet crowned. Her breath left her in a controlled exhale. "It hasn't been activated," Rhys whispered. "No." The stone did not pulse. It did not draw, but it waited, as if it only needed a final mark to awaken. Elara knelt carefully. The amulet responded at once, warming, steadying, ready. She did not touch the stone yet. Instead, she studied the etching. The break at the top of the circle mirrored the mark on the stump, but the inner space remained blank. The crown had not yet been carved. Whoever had placed it here intended to return. Her jaw tightened. "Can you undo it without triggering it?" Rhys asked quietly. She considered. The first mark had required balance, not force. This one was dormant. A seed. Seeds could be lifted before they rooted. She reached out slowly and placed 2 fingers against the stone. Nothing surged. No resistance. Only faint coolness. The amulet's warmth flowed gently down her arm. She let that warmth settle into the stone, not to burn, not to shatter, to loosen. The soil around the stone softened almost imperceptibly. The etching dimmed. The faint line of the broken circle blurred. She lifted the stone carefully from its shallow bed. The moment it left the earth, the faint pressure she had sensed vanished completely. Gone. Rhys let out a breath he had been holding. That was easier. Yes. But she did not relax. She turned the stone over in her hand. On its underside, carved in much finer script than the circle above, was a single word. She felt the amulet cool. Rhys leaned closer. "What does it say?" Her voice was quiet. "Return." The forest around them did not stir. No wind moved through the leaves. but the word sat heavy in her palm. Not a command, a message. Someone had planted this, and they expected it to come back to them. Elara closed her fingers around the stone. "Then we won't leave it here," she said. The amulet rested steady against her skin, neither flaring nor straining. The balance held, for now. Thank you for listening to Veil of Shadows. The story continues in the next chapter. Until then, may the balance hold.